Hello there, C-Note here, and welcome back to DOPEamine. I am your host, Christian Rivera, and I wanted to do a quick video in supplement to a video I recently did about INTPs being overwhelmed by open loops. There's a elements in there where I talk about open tabs, where basically I'm equating open loops to open tabs on your computer. And I thought there was one step further I could go in talking about INTP's relationship to memory usage, information access. I don't really have a title in mind with this, but it's like you're improving your ability to access information and essentially not overwhelm yourself. It's almost like clearing the storage or clearing your short-term storage, keeping your random access memory, which is a lot of what introverted thinking can be described as, clear, right? So keeping that random access memory clear. And in a sense, if you're having a bunch of tabs open, especially if you're using Google Chrome, that takes up system memory. It's like having files all over your desktop. That takes up system memory. If you are keeping programs open all the time, that keeps system memory in use. And that makes an INTP less flexible. So I'm using this analogy because I've worked in IT quite a while, at some point in my life for quite a while. And then I've basically been working with computers since 1996, maybe, I think. I don't remember. I was maybe 10 or 11 when I first started using computers. Maybe sooner than that. Yeah, 11 was when I started using the internet. Before then, I know I was using Windows 95. I was playing like Doom, Wolfenstein, Carmen Sandiego when there was floppy disks and all that stuff. So a little bit before then. But basically, so that's why I'm like sticking to this computer analogy, because it kind of connects with the INTP brain quite a bit. And I think over time I've learned about managing computer space. Now, I'm not talking about deep internals and hardware. I'm talking more about being a super user. You know, I'm more of that type of No, step. Okay, fine. We'll just deal with it being in my face. Step. Son of a. Well, let me loosen that. Tighten that up. Better? Okay, stay. Fine. The light's all up in my face, but we'll deal with it. And I'll probably have to take a step back from the microphone. Let me move it forward. Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't want it to be too loud. Anyway, so this computer analogy with keeping all your tabs open, I think is important to keep in mind, because in a lot of ways, as I said, introverted thinking is typically equated to random access memory. Now, what is random access memory? Random access memory is the ability for a computer to pull up a program at any time. You know, it's like you click on something and you pull up something, and the computer is basically has a free memory for it to be able to pull up the computer or pull up the program. So whether right now I'm playing, this is running on the Elgato camera hub, and then I'm running it through OBS because for some reason I'm having issues pulling it directly. So I have multiple programs open, but if you have too many programs open on your computer, then things start to slow down, they start to lag, and it becomes harder to open new programs because you're using all of your system memory. So if you're using all of your system memory, all of your random access memory as an INTP, it makes it harder for you to be flexible. So if you have all of these tabs open on your browser, then things just start to slow down because you're using random access memory to keep those tabs open. So what I think is important, and what I talked about in that open loops video, is about finding a place for all of those things to go. So if you're basically how a lot of INTPs tend to operate, or I've noticed they tend to operate, it's as if they have every program running all the time, and they're ready to, they're wanting to switch between programs endlessly without saving a program or without letting go of a concept or moving on, right? Their short-term memory, not literal memory, though that can be somewhat part of it, is not allowed to breathe, right? You're not saving the file and moving on from it. Your brain is constantly percolating on it, and you're not letting the save file just be in the background. And now in this case, with our human mind, there is intuition happening, meaning that when the file is saved in the background, it's connecting with other files, and then there's other things, there's aha moments that are happening. So there are things happening in the background concurrently, right? So it's almost like cloud storage in a way, where cloud storage allows for maybe I don't know if that's the best analogy, but it's like the saved file, or where you put all of the open tabs, where you put all the information of the open tabs, is allowed to go somewhere, and you're not necessarily having to remember the files themselves. You're not having to store all of your data in random access. You're able to put it into storage, whether that's external storage or internal storage. That's not relevant. It's storage. And you don't necessarily need to remember the file name. You don't need to remember necessarily what's in the file, but you may need to remember an imprint of it and know where to access it and know how to access it. So in a lot of ways, this is a relationship between extroverted intuition and introverted sensing, where your short-term memory, your extroverted intuition, in a lot of ways, needs room. It needs to be able to grab different things and have the space for new things to come in and be opened and be used at any given time. Whereas introverted sensing, if you're using it and putting things in storage, you can access those things as you need them and not keep them open all the time. So if you're keeping them open all the time, you're overvaluing introverted sensing, and you're almost bringing the concept of long-term storage into short-term storage. So you're keeping the programs, all the programs that you're currently working on are just sitting open. You're not turning off your computer. You're not saving the files. You're not closing the programs. You're not closing the tabs. Everything's just open all the time. That's taxing to the computer. Guess who else that's also taxing to? That could be taxing to your mind as an INTP. So I think that is valuable to understand this concept of managing short-term storage versus long-term storage. Work on the things you're working on, and then when you're done, clean them up, close them, save them, put them somewhere that you can access them. So with introverted sensing, it's usually like good file naming structures, literally on the computer, or having associations to objects and experiences. So let's say I have a trinket, like I think, yeah, up there, you can't see it from here, but on the shelf up there, there's a boat, and there's this little boat that I got in Santa Monica when I went on my first honeymoon with my first wife. We drove down the coast, and I got this little boat from Santa Monica. And so I'm not thinking about that virtually all the time, at all, ever, until maybe I look at that, and then suddenly that file opens, and I have all these memories about that experience and why I bought it and why it's here and all of that stuff. Basically, all of the information is stored in this physical trinket, right? So for introverted sensing, it could be a physical thing, or it can be music, or it can be a person. It can be a routine, a structure. It's like you wake up in the morning and you turn a certain way and you look at something, and that's almost like activates a sequence of events, right? So that's like opening the file in your mind and saying like, okay, it's not as if you're waking up in the morning and you're like, okay, I gotta brush my teeth, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. It's like, nope, you just get into a rhythm because one thing activated the entire sequence. In a lot of ways, it's like short code. It's you've got this entire massive package of code, and then it's distilled into this little short bit, or this thing you just double click, and then it opens, and there's all this other stuff that's in it, right? So I think part of some of the hubris of being an INTP sometimes is not realizing how that works, and then thinking that our intelligence is is based, I can't find the word, but that our intelligence is a factor of how much we have in our brain at any one given time. Whereas in my mind, I think a lot of intelligence for INTPs, and some of the most intelligent INTPs that I know, are able to utilize this sort of short code packaging system of keeping the short-term memory clear, ready and open for anything to come their way, and then knowing and trusting that their mind is going to be able to find the short code or the tabs or the packaging or the items or the program or whatever that is needed in this moment. And then if you can't find that, that's when you're going to work and you're creating that short code or you're creating that package in that moment, because your random access memory is open and then you have new files that you can save. So I hope that makes sense to some degree. I feel like this is something I could go much further into, and this is really stretching the boundaries of like what is free informational content versus paid for deeper stuff. So if you have further questions about this may be something that ends up going into like one of the membership courses or something like that. I'm really not sure. But I felt like this is a really, really powerful supplement to the open loops concept, in that when you have too many open loops, it's because you have too many programs open or too many tabs open or too many something open. And you have to do that memory storage bit of it. You have to figure out where these things go, what they can be imbued into, or what they can be saved as in a lot of ways. So I hope that made sense. I hope this helped you understand that concept a little bit clearer. And hope it helps you with some of your growth path as an INTP. If this is something you would like for me to dive further into, or if you have like a course idea or something that you'd want to invest in, that'd be amazing. I'm trying to figure out the best way to get a good balance with all this stuff. Or you can join us in our membership. If you go to DOPEamine.school, we have a membership that involves all of the mini courses that I have available. Basically anything that I charge under $100 for goes into that. And I'm going to be doing new ones all the time, including deeper concepts like this. And I'm setting up a community there as well. So you can join the community within that and ask me more direct questions. I can answer those directly instead of just here on YouTube. And I'm trying to find that balance of what fits on YouTube versus what is something that is a much more deeper and personal thing. Like, I think what really this is like, this is general. Whereas if you join the community and become a member, then I can help you with more specific issues or challenges or concepts related to your life, and maybe relating some of those personal things that maybe you don't want to share here on YouTube in the comments, but you can share within the community, and I can give you some more direct advice, if that makes sense, versus this broad, generalized INTP related advice. But if you want to stay here, that's totally cool too. Hit the subscribe and bell icon. I always get confused about where I'm going. There, right there. So subscribe, hit the bell icon, because I post videos sporadically, sometimes multiple times a day if I'm feeling inspired. And as long as you have those alerts enabled, then you will get that notification. You can save it for later, watch it later, or watch it immediately. And leave a comment, ask me questions, and leave me suggestions about what you would like to see me cover or elaborate on or anything like that. That would be amazing. So I appreciate you. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll catch you next time on DOPEamine. Let's hit the button. Fade to black. See you.